Hello and welcome to Keep Hope Alive podcast. Boy, do we have another great show for you. We got Kristen Wonch here today with us, and she is a global money coach and wizard with her numbers, which is going to be very helpful to hear all that information of what you teach and coach and how to make some, I guess, extra money at companies or individuals. So we'll dive into that in a minute. But before we get started, I wanted to ask you really quickly, how many weddings have you been to in the past, let's say 15 years?
Oh my goodness. Probably like 10.
Good. Okay, so if you were a guest and you were going to the ceremony part, when you walk in, let's say it's a church, usually guests have to sign something. What is it that they need to sign?
Like I'm blanking on the word, but like a registry.
Reg
Yeah.
registry, yes, perfect. Or the guest book. I hear registry a lot. So I always throw that in there as a question because I had one person I loved the answer. I think they said their life away. And I just kind of giggled and laughed at that one. I go, you could do that, but the guest can't do it. So lifeonrecord.com is one of our biggest sponsors here at Keep Hope Alive. And what they do, they are an interactive guest book. So instead of having that book, it is a rotary vintage phone. They put there for the guests to come in, pick up the phone, leave a message. Right next to the phone, they have a QR code that you can scan with your mobile device and leave a message either before or after. And then once all those messages do get collected, they will put it either on a 12-inch vinyl record or they have a cute little keepsake box. I call it the boom box, where you guys can listen back to everybody's voice. I call it the gift of voice and hear their congratulations for the big day. Now you get the phone number for a year, which is good, not the phone. I got to make sure you got to return the phone, but you get the phone number for a year. And then their plans only start at $99, which is a great deal. So for more information on them, go to www.lifeonrecord.com. All right. So Kristen, who is Kristen?
That's such a broad question.
I
I
know.
I mean, I'm Canadian, so I grew up in London, Ontario, Canada. And I think from a very young age, I've always been very determined. So, very high achiever, recovering perfectionist. I've always tried to do really hard things. And I think in a lot of ways that mentality really served me, right? But also, I think it really created this, belief of like you have to work really hard for money. And so that's one of the patterns that I've really worked hard to unwind and rewire is like that making money, that growing wealth, that all of it has to be really, really hard work. And so that is, the life that I now live. I'm based in Costa Rica. I, run my business from the beach. I surf every day and, have clients all over the world with a global impact. And so really allowing my business to grow and my wealth to grow, but from a place of like ease and surrender and just a lot more flow.
Oh my gosh, I would do anything to be where you're at the beach. I'm too scared of surfing, but I love sea turtles. I'm sure you get to see sea turtles all the time.
Yeah, there's lots of them here.
That is so awesome. So Canada, that's a big jump. Canada to Costa Rica. That's awesome though. So I'm proud of you. That's a good goal to have and jump and be financially set in life and everything. So I would say that is a good life to be living. And then how long have you been surfing? I just kind of off topic, get to know you.
Yeah, probably 7 or 8 years. Yeah, I first
Oh,
started when
wow.
I first came to Costa Rica. Yeah.
No run-ins to sharks or anything?
I have one time a shark actually hit my surfboard. And my partner at the time didn't believe me. It was like, seriously, like we got to get out of here, but it was really scary. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad you're okay. I really am. So, okay, well, just reading about you and stuff, you help women with, their, I guess, multi-million deals. Can you kind of explain that and how all that works out?
Yeah, so I help women really understand their money and master the science of building wealth. So what I teach is really my own journey. When I was working in corporate, I was making great money and I was spending all of it on, a life that was just like buying more clothes, but like I had a drinking problem that I didn't really admit to myself at the time. And so I was in a lot of debt and I just really wasn't making any progress, even though, I have an MBA in finance. I'm, really my job was in finance. And so I think that what we're socialized with, we're not taught about how to manage money. We're not taught about how to create wealth. We're not really taught about how to invest when we're younger. And so what I really started to unravel for myself was shifting the beliefs that were creating those toxic money patterns for myself and really stepping into a more powerful relationship with money. And so the work that I do with women, I was doing a lot of coaching work after I left my corporate career and hearing the same thing come up for like with women again and again, like these smart, successful, accomplished women that were saying, I'm not good with numbers, I'm not good with money, and just had really disempowering stories about their relationship to money. And so what I've created and the program that I now run, my Women's Money Mastery program, takes women down, rewiring the relationship to money. Like, what are the beliefs that are driving their avoidance pattern with money? What are their beliefs that are driving the overspending? What are their relationship that tells them that investing is really complicated and it's like, a someday tomorrow thing, instead of really leaning into the space in a powerful way. So we really clear money blocks and then we look at, earning efficiently. So what is it really going to take for you to get to the next level of income? And for some people, they're in a corporate career and it's not like a 2% salary increase that you're just waiting, wishing, hoping for every year. It's like, what do you need to demonstrate to your boss to make that promotion that doubles your salary a no-brainer? Or what company could you move to laterally that would give you, triple what you're earning now? And I've had clients do this time and time again, using the exact same skills that you have now, getting paid way more, but working fewer hours and having a lot more ease. If you run a business, it's like, what is the strategy that's going to, the 10x move that's going to get you to the next level? Maybe it's a partnership that you've been too afraid to reach out for the last 10 months and you've kind of been avoiding it, or getting on a stage that will expose you to thousands of people versus just, the hundreds that you're connected to right now, on Instagram. And then really spending with intention is the third piece. So like, how do you spend without feeling guilty? How do you spend from a conscious place that allows you to like live the life you want, but also plan for the future? And then investing intentionally is the last thing that I teach. So, instead of shying away from investments, instead of trying to be a day trader or making it really complicated, or, using a financial advisor that just like costs you, half of your portfolio, it really is, how do I start or grow my investment portfolio in a really simple, profitable, predictable way so that my retirement comes, 5 to 10 years earlier than it would have otherwise.
Wow, I really would have needed you through my first divorce because
Yeah.
my money spending habits, I was just depressed. I was blindsided. It was 2 days before the 8-year wedding anniversary already planned, and it was like I want a divorce, but it was just me and my daughter then, and I had to
Mhm.
raise her and the stuff that we used to do as a family. You kind of caught my interest, like, why did that happen? I wanted to continue taking her to the movies and these fun places, but then it became an issue. Can't have fun all the time. So I had to grow up and learn about money. So, and here I am at 46, of probably growing up right now, learning about money all over again. So, I mean, it could be out of all seasons, all ages, that somebody could basically, do your clients call in or do you do Zoom meetings with them to help them? How does that work?
Yeah, we do weekly coaching calls. So my clients, there's many video modules inside my program. So it takes you through the formula for wealth that I just, uncovered. It shows you,
Um,
especially when it comes to say spending, what you just described there, right? Like the there's two reasons that you overspend. First, you don't have a budgeting tool that actually works, and every single budgeting tool on the market doesn't is actually the opposite way to how you want to be thinking about money, and it doesn't track your spending in real time, and it makes you feel like you shouldn't be spending, versus what I teach, which is the opposite, that you actually have the freedom to spend that you can see before you've overspent what's happened and all of your bills are accounted for. Or, if you do have the right tool, but you're overspending, it's often from a place of like, I'm spending to avoid an emotion or create an emotion, right? So instead of just feeling and processing what's really there for me with my divorce, I'm spending thinking it's going to make me happy. And then I realize that it only does for a minute, and that's where it comes from. So there are always two pieces when it comes to spending. And the video modules that I give to clients, it takes them through everything they need to know about, the tactical, practical stuff, but also the mindset work. And then we come together on weekly coaching calls inside of a group where it really takes you through a transformation around, I believe in my ability to create anything in the world. And I know I can be earning at a much higher level. And I'm doing all the things now to create that. And then the financial wins really start rolling in.
So, do you ever have people come to you, they're in a stable job and they got a raise because of their performance is good, but then they end up going back to college to take like more classes so they can promote themselves again? Have you ever heard that? And does that really work inside of a business as well?
I mean, one thing I think when it comes to more education is like, why do you really need that? I have an MBA in finance. I spent many years in school and a lot, like over 100 grand. Like I spent a lot of money on my education, and I don't regret doing that by any means. I think it got me a lot of like really valuable skills, but I just think that, is that actually the best way for you to reach where you want to reach, right? So whether you're working
Potentially,
in
yeah.
corporate or you're running a business, is like, it would probably be far better in most cases for you to have the experience doing what you're doing in the real world than it is to sit in a classroom and try to, write a test in the right way. And so this is coming from someone who's really good at writing tests. Like I was like a very high performer. And also, like a lot of the skills and the things that I learned in university, I don't use now at all in my business. And so what's way more important is getting, skills and training and expertise in your area, like in your zone of genius, in your area, in the real world, on the field, than sitting in a classroom. And so I think a lot of people trick themselves into believing that more education is the fastest way to growth. And it's very rarely ever the case. And a lot of the time, the people that you meet and the connections that you make are way more valuable or way more important than the education that you have on paper. I don't have, in the years and years I've been running my business, no one has ever asked me for my degree. No one even, most people don't even know I have an MBA. I never talk about it. It doesn't
You
matter. It's
see,
completely
it's
irrelevant.
yeah, I believe that. I was just doing my resume and I was like, okay, I can add influencer, branding. And there was another name given, and I cover all that. I can do PR now. Like these are things that are added. But I never wanted to, back in the day, I just wanted to be a certified wedding planner. So that's something the college I went to was for hotel restaurant management. That wasn't going to help me learn wedding. So I ended up going to a trade school, no regrets. But it led me, and I think with the experience getting out there and learning the knowledge, I've had people look at my resume and not question the schooling part too, but then there's some jobs that I've run across. Oh, you have to have a bachelor's. You have to have this. But what if you already have the experience without that bachelor's degree? It just came within, are you allowed to say that in a, resume kind of part? Hey, I already got this experience, but I don't hold that degree. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think a
but
lot of
yeah.
people are operating the belief of like, it's not, I don't have enough training or education to be paid the money I want. And that's very rarely ever actually true.
That's good to know. And I think a lot of listeners need to hear that too, because that's giving me motivation too. It's like, I don't want to be negative in the world. Like, let's take this podcast, for example. I want it to go full blown. I want to be able to live the rest of my life doing a podcast. So my goals are, how can I make money with it? I'm not going to school to learn that. I'm not doing that, but I will go and find training sources. This is just me hearing what
Mhm.
other people worked for them, like through a YouTube show or another podcast, you can get that information to grow more without having to spend the big dollars and stuff to go to a major community college or even university for that. So, but that's just my opinion. But other than that, so and creating the financial freedom part. So you talked about retiring, and I want to kind of touch base with that. Is people like me, I'm 46 now, and let's say I did have a job that I was there for 25 years, but I was just spending and spending and spending, but not doing like a savings plan. What age would you say that you need to start saving for the retirement part?
As soon as possible.
As soon as
So,
possible.
I mean, the way that it's not just about saving, it's actually about investing, right? So the way that investments work through compound interest means that the longer your money has to grow, the easier it is for you because you have to put less in to get it to grow. So think of it like an apple orchard. I use this analogy. If you were to start growing an apple orchard, the very first tree you plant one tree, you do all the hard work, and then that tree takes a long time to grow. And then it grows apples, and those apples fall to the ground, right? Well, some of those apples like will grow their own trees, right? So you can imagine like maybe year two, you have 3 to 4 apple trees, right? Well, in year 10, you probably have 50 apple trees. And in year 20, you have like thousands of apple trees just because of that compounding effect. Because it's not just the one apple tree that's producing more apples, it's like it's multiplying. And so what happens when you wait to start investing is you cut off all that growth in the later years. So you're basically restricted to just like what 1 or 2 apple trees can do for you. And so if you think about the math, the difference between saving and investing. So when we talk about, building $1 million portfolio, the math is actually really easy. If you take $1,000 a month over 12 months a year, over 30 years, well, that money in a savings account, it's $360,000, right? 1,000 times 12 times 30 years, 360,000. Well, you take that same $1,000 a month, and I like to use the 1,000 because everyone can come up with an extra $1,000. You cut your overspending, maybe you get a promotion, like whatever that looks like for you. $1,000 is easy for most people. They don't realize it because most people are overspending and not managing their money well. But
Yeah.
you take that same $1,000 a month over that 30-year period and invested, in just very simple basic investments, builds a $1.2 million portfolio. 360 grand versus 1.2 million. So that's the difference between what savings versus investing can do. It's like I keep my cash in a bank account versus I get my money growing for me. It's doing all the heavy lifting. So retiring a multimillionaire is actually quite simple, but you don't get there from just doing it for a couple of years. You get there from allowing your money to grow for a long period of time and doing it slowly over time. It's very doable. It it's just, and it's not ever too late to get started, but the biggest mistake most people make is delaying, because then to reach those same numbers, you have to
Yeah.
just put in more than $1,000 every month. You have to put in 4 or 5 or 10, right? It's like you just makes things so much easier when you start earlier.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, that's where I can see myself. I've been delaying. So shame on me. I'm gonna have to go through your course. So tell me about, like, are they weeks long courses, or what can they do to find you and sign up for one of your courses to teach them?
Yeah. The best place to start, actually, I run a masterclass pretty regularly called Investor Secrets. So it really takes you behind the scenes of how to avoid all the common mistakes that most people make when it comes to investing, how to really get started with this or build on your portfolio, how to, what most people do is they trust a financial advisor. And I break down all the reasons that actually steals like half of your retirement. So I'll leave the link for you and your listeners so that they can
Oh,
just go and
yeah.
for free, sign up for the next one that I'm running. And it'll really give you clarity on, some of the work that I do and also, a style of my teaching style. And you can also reach out if anyone has specific questions, like if they're listening to this and they're like, this is something I know I want to work on, just reach out to me on Facebook. I'm
Yeah.
Kristen Wonch on Facebook, KristenWonch.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So I will get all that listed and everything for you. Really quick, I'm going to break in for a quick commercial and
Yeah.
then kind of go really quick. So, another big sponsor for Keep Hope Alive is our snap bands, and I have Hope right here, and I have the new one called Faith. And you've probably seen these advertised on Facebook a lot. They have the elastic bands, but I'm going to shorten this up and tell you a little bit about it. So, the world is a stressful place for everyone with work, school, relationships, health issues, finances, the nightly news. There's the anxiety every day. Negative thoughts can keep popping into our head over and over again. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of anyone loving me. Bad things are always happening to me. So, if you ever had these types of thoughts, you're not alone. More than 40 million Americans are diagnosed with anxiety disorder. Anxieties, worries, and fears can stop you from finding your inner peace and achieving your true potential. You deserve to live your best life. Finally, there's an amazing new bracelet called Snap Bands that was invented to help you reduce anxiety, control OCD, and calm stress. Snap bands are a cognitive behavioral tool based on proven neuroscience, and the way Snap bands works is amazing. So, Snap bands bracelets look like a stylish piece of jewelry on your wrist, but its unique design actually hides a secret elastic band that sits on the right of your inner wrist, which is a pressure point to your brain's nervous system. When you give the elastic a light tug, you feel a very gentle, soft vibration on your inner wrist. A gentle physical sensation is all you need to do to reduce the anxiety. And here is why. Did you know that the human brain can only deal with one emergency at a time? Well, whenever you feel an unwanted negative thought in your head, you gently snap the elastic on your inner wrist and it forces your brain to focus on the gentle sensation that you feel, which instantly disrupts the unwanted negative thought from your brain. So, they have mantra words. So I'm going to kind of shorten this up really quick. That can come with your bands. They have seven, well, let's call it eight now. They have believe, blessing, dream, fearless, hope, love, peace. And then if you were to write to Snap Bands and you want this one that is just now created, faith, you put in the notes KHA, and then you will be able to get a faith one, but that's only special for Keep Hope Alive listeners here. So definitely, I want you to check out their website. They're very helpful. I've had mine on for over a month. It does help. You can find them at www.snapbands.com. It's SNAPPBANDZ.com. So check them out. And you know what, Kristen, really quick, I know we're kind of like ruffling on a little bit of time here. So I just wanted to kind of talk. You have a podcast too.
Yeah, I do. I love podcasting. It's so much fun. My podcast is The Wealth Equation. So it's a mix of me breaking down really, important punchy concepts around building wealth and, managing your money and mastering your money mindset, and also interviewing 6 and 7 and 8 figure earners to really take you behind the scenes, like all women, to take you behind the scenes on like really what it takes to build wealth.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So they can come and check out and sign all that information and everything. So, and you were top ranked 117 countries. So, congratulations.
Yeah, it's been
Like, is
so.
that all over the world? Like, which ones are your biggest ones?
I think the biggest that biggest audiences are New Zealand, because that's where I used to live, Australia, Costa Rica, because that's where I am, Canada, and the States. But there's, yeah, many. We definitely ranked very highly when we yeah, when we launched the podcast. And I'm super, super grateful for all of the listeners. It's been so, so fun.
Yay, I'm so glad to hear that. Well, I want to thank you so much and coming to share all the information that you have about being the money mastery method coach and stuff. And we'll get that stuff on there. Any books in your future?
Any
You should be
books?
right. Yeah, I want to know if you're going to be writing a book.
Oh, me writing a book. Yes, but I'm very intentional about where I spend my time. And so I need, same with the podcast. I've been thinking about it for a year before we launched, because I knew I needed to create space to do it consistently. And books are the same. So stay tuned. I will keep you posted. In the meantime, the podcast is probably the best place to direct people.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, definitely we'll get that information. And really quick, I want to thank to everybody, our other sponsors for Keep Hope Alive, which I mentioned, lifeonrecord.com, your interactive guest book. We also have snapbands.com, and that was your bracelet with the anxiety reducing. Ogden Ventures LLC. Marcus Ogden is a former football player. He also is a podcaster and a publisher of a book that is doing really well. You can find his information at www.marcus. And let me spell out his name. It's a little different. MARQUESOGDEN.com. Our next one is bridalshowsinc.com. If you are planning an event in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you can check out their shows that they host. You'll meet different vendors, see fashion shows, maybe even book them for your next event. So check them out at bridalshowsinc.com. Next, we have milesandSmilesEvents.com. Deborah Rose, her background is investigation, but she is a handwriting analysis and lipstick reader, and she's very accurate. She's really good at the events and everything. We have Bryce Harney next at www.brycemagic.com. He is a magician, my mentalist. You've probably seen him on TV recently. You can check him out, of course, on YouTube and see his tricks and stuff. But if you need to hire him for a corporate event or a church event or something, a big party, he is reachable to hire. Our next one is richmondpunch.net. He graduated from the Juilliard. He's a violinist and he's performed in front of 1 million people before, 2 spots on Lifetime shows, but he is a truly talented entertainer. So check out his information. And last but not least, we have TK Hair Salon at www.tkhairsalon.com. They are in Plano, Texas, but if you're needing a haircut, hair dye, perm, facial stuff, they do it all. Check them out. If you have any questions for Kristen, you can always call us at 833-780-HOPE, which is 4673. And I promise I will send her those questions. She'll get them answered for you and everything. So make sure to subscribe wherever you find podcasts. You'll be able to find keephopealivepodcast.com. But once again, Kristen, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And until then, next time we see you, love and light. Bye bye.